Good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream. I'm going to do the January 22nd spiritual principle a day in a meditation. Hope you're doing well this morning. Very excited to be in the comforts of my own home. The title of the meditation today, Serenity Brings Clarity. Serenity doesn't mean that we don't experience dramatic events. It gives us the clarity of mind to go through them. That comes from the Living Clean book, chapter 7, Living Our Principles. Serenity, a permanent state of peacefulness, contentment, and awe. Those of us with time clean float around on a spiritual plane that newcomers can aspire to and will achieve through doing exactly what's suggested. Shared, no member ever. Right? That's a joke. They're saying it's never been shared like that. All right. Unfortunately, and not surprisingly, life in recovery doesn't work like that because life will keep showing up. We experience some thrilling moments, as well as those that are terrifying, joyful, and sorrowful, and plenty of unexciting times in between when things are just fine. Yet the drama in our head continues. But there is good news on the horizon. We can deal with life because no matter what arises, we have learned collectively that we can get through anything, and practicing serenity can help. Practicing serenity is acting with intention to get to a place of equanimity, where we can contain ourselves enough to keep perspective, show our gratitude, and act with care and thoughtfulness. Sometimes it's about standing still when our mind is running. Other times, it's about keeping our mind still when everything around us is spinning. It can be as simple as breathing. Serenity gives us time and space through extreme highs and lows. It can be the calm in the eye of the addict brain hurricane, but it's not always about peacefulness. Sometimes it's about authenticity, about feeling how we feel and being okay with that. Serenity is a tool for clarity. When faced with a difficult decision, which for many of us can be every single decision, we can pray for serenity. Sometimes the right path is revealed. Other times we can adjust unrealistic expectations and realize we have enough information to move forward. We can jump into the unknown because today we have tools to deal with that. Where can I stop, breathe, and look for clarity during my day? Where can I take a moment to feel what I'm feeling and know I'm okay? Let's take a moment of silence followed by the Serenity Prayer, the we version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. Serenity brings clarity. What a beautiful meditation. Just thinking about it, how serenity sometimes is, I don't know if I want to say propped up or promoted. Commercially speaking, serenity, having Zen, right? Having peace, right? Mindfulness, right? It's pushed as being a product that you can go pick off the grocery store and you can have it with you just because you purchased it. It's not like that. Serenity is not like that. Serenity is a decision, I believe, to practice equanimity, So equanimity is the ability to have a spirit of evenness, equalness, balance. It's not always easy to do that, because it seems like as life continues to happen, things are always getting out of balance. Imagine yourself standing in the middle of a teeter-totter, right? Or a seesaw. Imagine yourself standing there in the middle of that. And you have the center piece in the middle on the ground, right? With a little spring maybe to it. And your feet are positioned on either side of it. Now, as life happens, the weight of losing a family member is added to one side. The expected response is that leverage will start to weigh the teeter-totter that direction. But what happens, I believe, in recovery is that we develop an instinct to make the needed adjustments quickly. So even though we may seem like we're about to go out of balance, we adjust our position in the here and now to accommodate that experience. And the way we begin to accommodate it and add more weight on the side of just the opposite side, right? The opposite side of a traumatic experience, adding weight to coming through that in the spirit of recovery, is we apply the spiritual principles in all of our affairs. So imagine the trauma of me going through what I just went through, and I shared with you guys every day, and it's weighing the teeter-totter on the left side. Now I know that I can shift my footing completely to the right and balance that. But what happens is that if you're all the way to the right, the minute it begins to balance, you need to be back dead center. Otherwise, your weight is going to outweigh that, right? So what I would rather do is stay in the center of recovery and pick up these beautiful gems called peacefulness, fellowship, meetings, and I'm stacking them. I'm stacking them on the other side. And can you see this now? I'm starting to balance out this seesaw, and I'm still dead center. I haven't moved to the left or the right. Circumstances have changed and caused a tipping of the scales in a sense. But I have all these other tools that I'm adding, all of these spiritual principles that I'm adding, and it's causing me to have equanimity. It's causing a balance between life just happening and me having to take the blows, and me having all of the tools that I need to cope with it in a way where I can still show up. I can still do the podcast and still have a loving spirit and still care about you guys and still care about carrying the message. No matter what I'm going through, I can still do that. There's been some storms that were coming my way, and I could see that the storms were going to come. And I could see that I would have to be absent from doing this every morning. And I would just pre-record because I needed to maintain that connection with you all, because you mean so much to me, to my personal recovery, right? And so we're practicing serenity. This is acting with intention to get to a place of equanimity where we can contain ourselves enough to keep our perspective, show our gratitude, and act with care and thoughtfulness. See, I want to highlight this word for somebody. I want to highlight this word, right? Because sometimes, even when I look at the spiritual principles today, I'm not going to lie to you. Sometimes I look at the spiritual principle day and I see so such complications in the wording, and they've come a long way from the Just for Today, right? I would agree that the reading is a bit more difficult with the spiritual principles today. And I look at it and I'm like, who got time for that? I guess if I was out there and somebody was reading it to me, I would rather have it read to me, because sometimes I'm thinking, no, I'm not retaping over one word. I'm not. They should know better than using all these complicated words. Equanimity. Are you serious, people? Okay, so equanimity, right? No, it took me in, man. It was like a flashback. What they trying to say? Equanimity? Oh, no, don't make me go civil rights, right? I said, oh no, you can calm down, girl. This is not a civil rights moment, right? So equanimity. Look at that sentence there. I highlighted it for you, right? Look at that. Practicing serenity is acting with intention. So that means I'm practicing serenity when I have the intent to have something, and I'm going to act in a manner that says, this is what I want. Okay? So I'm not praying for serenity and not doing anything about it. I'm acting in agreement with that serenity prayer. Okay? So I'm acting with intention to do what? To get to a place of equanimity. Equanimity is the place where I'm trying to go. When I'm practicing serenity, I want to make this really, really, really plain, because when we talk about the 11th step, through prayer and meditation, we maintain conscious contact with the God of our understanding, asking for the knowledge of his will and the power, and I want to say strength, I'm not sure if it says strength, but to carry that out, right? The power to carry that out. So when I'm talking about prayer and meditation and maintaining conscious contact, and I'm talking about practicing serenity, this state of peacefulness and contentment, right? When I am practicing that, there is a place where I'm trying to go. There's a purpose, in other words. The purpose is to get to this position of equanimity, where I'm on the teeter-totter and everything is balanced. Life is happening over on the left. Spiritual principles are happening on the right. And I'm standing dead center in the middle of my recovery, and everything is balanced. This is the goal, is for me to be able to come to a place of equanimity where I can contain myself enough to keep my perspective, keep perspective in general, not just my perspective, but keep perspective, meaning that I am able to peer into a situation and see what it is I'm dealing with. Perspective, right? An understanding of a situation authentically, based on the truth. Show my gratitude. That's the hard one. Showing my gratitude, having an attitude of gratitude when the storm comes, and act with care and thoughtfulness. So this is what I was practicing over the last few days, because I could have acted in a way that showed that I wasn't thoughtful, that I didn't care. But you guys didn't teach me that. You didn't teach me to be like that. And I have no more excuses to act like that. That doesn't mean some people don't get it. Some people can definitely get it, right? But I can make a choice today as to how I respond. And that's where we're trying to go with this serenity. So when you feel life is happening and you feel pulled into responding a certain way that you know you're going to struggle with later, that's going to end up on your 10th step because you chose to act foul, make a different decision. Like I told you yesterday, let's make a different decision. Let's say, you know what? I'm not really, I don't want you to think that I'm being dismissive. I'm definitely not being dismissive about this situation. This is serious. But I want to make sure I have the tools that I need to respond appropriately. And for me, I'm so used to just responding fight or flight. And I know that this deserves way more consideration, thoughtfulness than I've been used to giving. And I don't want to make that mistake anymore. So out of respect for you, the circumstance, and myself, I need some time to think about this. Can we do another conversation, let's say Saturday at 10 o'clock at the cafe? Can we sit down and talk about this in person after I've had some time to give it consideration and pray? And sometimes somebody might say, what do you mean? Like, you don't know if you want to see your kid? You don't know, you need some time and to consider that? No, that's not it at all. That's not it at all. But there's some things that I need to put in place. And I want to make sure that I put them in place so that when I say yes, I really mean yes, and I'm able to handle it, not let you down again, right? Who can walk away from that not respecting you, right? Giving you that time. And so there's a way that we can rephrase everything that we're going through so that we can buy ourselves time to practice serenity and get to the place of equanimity where we can contain ourselves and respond appropriately with thoughtfulness and care. Because now this affects whether or not I pick up. Not for everybody, right? But for a lot of us, our poor responses, our poor behaviors. I believe I have a nephew that cannot stay clean because of having treated so many people along the way poorly. And it was just defense mechanisms. So there was a lot on this kid's plate early in life, right? But I believe the guilt of how they've treated me and other people is causing them to want to stay high, because at least when they're high, it allows them to not have to think too much about the damage. But the only way to start cleaning up the wreckage of our past is to start somewhere. And for many of us, it's with treatment, it's with detox, it's with a second at a time so that we can bring clarity back to our bodies, right? And our minds. And you can do it. I know you can do it. I absolutely believe in you, right? That serenity brings clarity, but it comes with practice and it's intentional and you can do it, right? I want for you today to look at not how you're feeling right now, because a lot of times after the meditation, we feel really, really good, right? So as you start encountering people at some point in time today, I want you to promise me that you will look at how you are feeling. Are you feeling serene? Do you have balance? Are you having a perspective, an attitude of gratitude? Are you still being authentic about who you are and not making the world pay for your view, but owning up to the responsibility to care for yourself and your perspective and presenting it in a manner where it gives people choices, that they don't have to be guilt tripped if they don't accept your perspective? Because you don't want people guilt tripping you for not accepting their thinking. So why do it to someone else, right? So at some point in time today, I want you to think about where you're at and what you're going through and start analyzing how much of this serenity are you able to maintain in a storm throughout the day? Not just a storm, but throughout the day. Okay? And take note when people notice. You seem so calm. But take note when people notice, and you'll find that people will more readily engage you because of that equanimity. We learned a big word today, huh? My name is Mighty Stream. I've enjoyed talking to you. I hope that you will have a beautiful day on purpose. You deserve it. Talk to you soon.